In the headlines of this hour on VTV News, Vietnam's economy looks bright over 10 months. And later on, flood-sensitive area becomes world's best tourism village. In our world news, UN pushes to open Kerem Shalom crossing to deliver aid to Gaza.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It's currently 8 a.m. local time, and you're tuning in to 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Lin Lei with the latest updates. Now, on Tuesday afternoon, the plenary session of the National Assembly discussed the results of the 2023 Socio-Economic Development Plan and the expected plan for 2024. The National Assembly deputies agreed that despite the current domestic challenges and globally, many bright spots for the economy and society had been recorded thanks to the outstanding efforts of the entire political system.
Under the correct, close, and timely leadership of the central government, the National Assembly, the government, and state leaders, the participation of the entire political system and with the efforts of the business community and the help of international friends, Vietnam's socio-economy in the first 9 months of the year continued to recover, changing positively each month. Various important results were achieved in many fields.
Although the COVID situation is unprecedented and in the context of complex fluctuations in the region and internationally, our country has united to overcome difficulties, recover and develop. I am strongly impressed with the steadfastness and perseverance in innovating ways of thinking and working for the people of the National Assembly and the government.
Voters, the public and the business community acknowledge that the National Assembly and the government have been implementing many synchronous measures to support and remove difficulties for businesses, such as 4 consecutive reductions in regulatory interest rates, enhanced access to capital and promotion of consumer credit, thereby helping businesses solve difficulties and restore business.
Unlocking capital sources and creating conditions for businesses to access capital is an urgent task at this time. I think that in addition to considering lowering interest rates, it is necessary to consider re-evaluating the lending mechanism and procedures as well as managing credit orientation with business activities.
It is recommended that the government continue to direct ministries and branches to continue researching and reviewing legal provisions that still overlap, have problems and inadequacies, and proactively propose solutions to relevant authorities for prompt consideration and adjustment.
At the discussion session on the results of implementing the 2023 Socio-Economic Development Plan and the expected 2024 Socio-Economic Development Plan, many National Assembly deputies raised shortcomings and limitations in the social sector and proposed multiple important solutions.
Some National Assembly said that, in the past half-term, the National Assembly issued 37 laws and resolutions as a basis for the government to issue approximately 264 decrees. The Prime Minister issued about 71 decisions to create a legal framework beneficial for implementing socio-economic development tasks and targets. However, there is still a need for solutions to deal with the root causes of existing social inadequacies.
There are still social issues worth worrying about. It is inequality in income and living standards between the working classes and the rest of the population. It is necessary to assess the level of difference in income and living standards, whether it has led to the risk of social conflict or not, to have solutions to handle the income gap appropriately so that the economy and society can simultaneously grow.
Older people over 80 years old who want to sell their house are required to have a marriage certificate. If they want to sell their house, they have to re-register their marriage. We are careful in ensuring personal property, but the coldness of the civil service is not consistent with our Vietnamese culture. Culture is an endogenous resource for development. The General Secretary said, "The focus on cultural development is people, avoiding thinking culture is just entertainment. Since we are human, we must develop public service culture and ethics."
It is recommended that the government, according to its authority, promulgate or submit to the National Assembly a resolution on debt freezing and a reduction policy for ship owners facing difficulties, with a commitment not to violate the law on IUU.
The National Assembly, on Wednesday, will continue to discuss an evaluation of the 2023 Socio-Economic Development Plan, expected Socio-Economic Development Plan for 2024, midterm assessment of the implementation of the Socio-Economic Development Plan for 2021 to 2025, and economic restructuring plan for the period 2021 to 2025.
On Tuesday morning, the National Assembly convened a plenary session to discuss several articles in the revised draft law on real estate business that still have differing opinions. More in the following.
At the plenary session, deputies shared their opinions on the two payment options. These options are related to the buying, selling, renting, and purchasing of houses and construction works.
I choose option 1, which states that the remaining value of the contract will be considered paid once the competent state agency issues a certificate to the buyers and lessees. This provision aims to protect the legal rights and interests of organizations and individuals and prevent investors from accessing the remaining value of the contract without the buyer's consent.
Option 2 states that the buyer is not required to pay 5% of the remaining value of the contract, but they must transfer the amount to the investor's bank account for management. However, I have concerns that the investor could potentially misuse this amount to intentionally delay the completion of procedures.
Deputies also requested regulations to safeguard the rights of buyers in real estate transactions.
Both Clause 1, Article 14, and Clause 2, Article 24 permit the investor to sell the house even if the apartment does not have a certificate of ownership. This situation can significantly disadvantage buyers if the investor goes bankrupt or fails to fulfill their financial obligations.
If possible, we should explicitly state an article that prohibits procrastination in the transfer of properties and the use of the 2% housing maintenance fund. Many investors are exploiting loopholes in this law to misappropriate funds.
The National Assembly will continue the discussion in the afternoon with the assessment of implementation results of the Socio-Economic Development Plan in 2023 and next year's plan.
Vietnam always attaches importance to the comprehensive strategic partnership with Russia and considers Russia one of its top priority partners. Prime Minister Phie told visiting Russian Minister of Internal Affairs General Kolokoltsev Vladimir Alexandrovich in a meeting on Tuesday in Hanoi. During the reception for the Russian minister, Prime Minister Phie said Vietnam wants to continue practical and effective cooperation with Russia for the mutual benefit of the two peoples and peace, stability, and development in the region and the world. The Russian minister affirmed that Vietnam is always a priority in his country's foreign policy. Russia wishes to deepen further the Russia-Vietnam Comprehensive Strategic Partnership, especially in politics, economics, trade, people-to-people exchanges, tourism, experience sharing, and training human resources. The ties binding Vietnam and the U.S. will be further strengthened as both sides hold huge potential for economic, trade, and investment collaboration following the upgrade of the bilateral relations to a comprehensive strategic partnership in September, Deputy Prime Minister Trần Lưu Quang said on October the 31st. Attending the U.S.-Vietnam Business Summit 2023 in Hanoi, the Deputy Prime Minister laid stress on the quantum leap in the bilateral ties with 10 cooperation pillars and expressed his wish that businesses from both sides will boost economic trade cooperation, enhance the trade of products, support each other to engage in the new value chain, and strive to raise the two-way trade revenue to $200 billion in the coming time. The U.S.-Vietnam Business Summit 2023 sharpened the focus on Vietnam's development priorities, including removing barriers to mobilizing resources for business and production, promoting the transition to clean and renewable energy and enhancing sustainable investment. According to the General Statistics Office, as of October, consumer prices are stable and total retail sales of goods and services maintain positive growth. The trade surplus reached $24.61 billion, signifying a robust trade relationship between Vietnam shares with global partners. These are among the achievements of Vietnam's economy in the first 10 months of 2023.
According to the General Statistics Office, in the first 10 months of the year, the average consumer price index, CPI, increased by 3.2%, falling short of the national target of 4 to 4.5%. This also means that prices of goods and services remain under control.
The global economy has been battling inflation since last year. However, Vietnam has maintained macroeconomic stability despite headwinds, thanks to the price stability.
Stable prices also support domestic purchasing power and consumption. Total retail sales of goods and services in the 10 months increased 9.4% to over $200 million. As exports plunge, domestic consumption is believed to boost domestic manufacturers and distributors.
As total retail sales continue to increase, it will help manufacturers and even distributors maintain sales. And this will allow us to maintain stable selling prices for consumers.
It should be noted that Vietnam's trade surplus has topped $24 billion in the past 10 months. While many economies are affected by global fluctuations, Vietnam has set records for keeping trade activities steady.
A trade surplus of $24.6 billion shows Vietnam has made quite an effort to stay connected with the world's market.
We also need to re-establish ties with export markets to maintain jobs. It is also necessary to review legal frameworks that have not been put into effect yet. Stronger decentralization is also needed to restore economic growth.
In addition, in the past 10 months, realized foreign investment capital was estimated at $18 billion, up 2.4% year-on-year, reflecting investors' growing confidence in Vietnam's economic prospects.
This year's state budget revenue may reach or even exceed the planned target in implementing a raft of exemption and reduction policies and extending payment deadlines for various types of taxes, fees, and land use charges. This outlook was one of the main assessments of Vietnam's economic prospects at the 8th plenum of the 13th Party Central Committee. Accordingly, fiscal support packages have helped businesses, the public, and the economy grow effectively. However, this support also compels the financial sector to find new revenue sources to compensate for the decrease in budget revenue.
From 2020 to 2023, this enterprise has paid over $100,000 in taxes. National Assembly and government policies to exempt and defer taxes and land rent have saved resources and helped it regain development momentum.
With that support, our cash flow, as well as our production and business, are guaranteed. Up to now, the difficulties have been partly overcome, and we continue to contribute taxes to the state.
The tax industry officials promptly resolved problems, especially deferment policies. Applications submitted directly or online are processed within 1 to 3 days, making it convenient for businesses.
Over the past 4 years, the total scale of fiscal support packages approved by the National Assembly and the government totaled $28.4 billion. The Ministry of Finance has also just issued a circular reducing 35 fees and charges in the last 6 months of this year by $28.4 million. However, budget revenue still achieved healthy results, ensuring a balance of budget revenue and expenditure, contributing to promoting economic growth.
This has reduced difficulties for businesses and individuals. However, it is necessary to increase budget revenue in potential areas that have not had taxes fully applied for many years, such as revenue from cross-border e-commerce platforms and real estate. We should encourage receipt of invoices by drawing lottery prizes to create habits for people in the production and business process to receive invoices.
Recently, the Ministry of Finance proposed that relevant authorities consider reducing VAT by 2% and reducing the environmental protection tax on gasoline and oil in 2024. At the same time, export and import tax reductions should continue to be reviewed as applied this year to support domestic production and business.
Coming up next on VTV News. Viettel experts win at world's leading cyber attack contest. And flood-sensitive area becomes world's best tourism village. Welcome back to VTV News Live. Now on to other important updates. A team of Viettel Cybersecurity, a member of the Viettel Group, won the PWN2 Own Toronto 2023, the world's leading contest in cyber attacks. According to the results, the Viettel team, which consists of 16 members, won the Master of PWN award with 30 points, ranking in first place on the leaderboard. The annual PWN2 Own represents the world's largest and most prestigious cyber attack competition. Security firm Trend Micro sponsors the event, which has been held by the Zero Day Initiative since 2007. Vietnam Television VTV has been honored with the Outstanding Television Technical Award of the Year 2023 for its VTVgo app by the Asia Pacific Broadcasting Union, or ABU, in a ceremony held in Seoul, the Republic of Korea, on Tuesday. The national digital television platform VTVgo is the result of the digital transformation efforts of Vietnam Television over the past 10 years, from investing in synchronous program production infrastructure to digital technology, optimizing content resources ready for the trend of shifting audiences from traditional television to the internet platform. VTVgo has been installed and used on 45 million devices with a regular domestic audience of over 8 million and users in more than 200 countries and territories, serving millions of Vietnamese expatriates abroad. The Television Technical Excellence Award is an annual ABU award recognizing products and individuals from associations that have made outstanding contributions to television technology. The 23rd Vietnam Film Festival, which spotlights the building of a rich, modern and humane national film industry, is scheduled for November the 21st to the 25th in Đà Lạt City, the Central Highlands province of Lâm Đồng. Co-organized by the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism and the Provincial People's Committee, the biannual event honors films and artists in the industry. According to the Ministry's Cinematography Department, to be eligible for the festival, works in forms of feature films, documentaries, science films, and cartoons must be in the Vietnamese language and produced by Vietnamese film production establishments or in collaboration with foreign organizations or individuals without copyright disputes. A low-lying area once considered a flood navel has now emerged as the world's best tourism village. That is the proud achievement of Tân Hoa Village in Tân Hoa Commune, Minh Hoa District, Quang Binh Province. The people who are gravely affected by frequent natural disasters have transformed their repeatedly flood-hit homeland into a tourist attraction.
Since the floating house model initiative was put into practice, the people of Tân Hoa Village have adapted and responded quickly to the flooding pattern. More importantly, they have incentivized this emergency measure and experimented with unique weather-resistant homestays. The model is deployable all year round, even during the flood season. Therefore, it offers the native experience of living with floods and resolves seasonal limitations in tourism.
When we organize this climate adaptation tour, our wish is for visitors to have a better idea of the lives of local people here during the rain and flood seasons and to offer a new perspective on what is called a flood navel. Tourism revenue also helps locals improve their living conditions after floods.
Since turning the hardship of natural disasters into a selling point, this village has become a never-before-seen tourist attraction.
We arrived only a few days ago. We went for the tour, jungle tour, cave tour, and this was really beautiful. So we enjoy now being here.
Walking breathtaking, very different from anything I've ever.
Thanks to its success in promoting tourism as an economic pillar, Tân Hoa Village was honored with the Best Tourism Villages 2023 title by the World Tourism Organization.
The village has offered tourism products and services in a climate-adaptive manner. It aligns with the latest sustainability trend in tourism and makes people understand life during a flood better.
Getting the Best Tourism Village from Tân Hoa, I believe that the village can have a powerful impact to receive many visitors. So let us make sure that all the visitors, either from Vietnam and overseas, can appreciate the original beauty and cultural asset of what Tân Hoa Village have to offer.
Coming up next, in our world news. UN pushes to open Kerem Shalom crossing to deliver aid to Gaza. And later on, scientists uncover RNA from extinct species for the first time. Moving on to our world news, on Tuesday, the UN Security Council met in an emergency session at the request of UAE and China to discuss the ongoing crisis between Israel and the militant group Hamas. At the meeting, the head of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees in the Near East, Philippe Lazzarini, stated that 3,200 Palestinian children had been killed by Israel in just 3 weeks, stressing the unprecedented level of destruction in the ravaged enclave. He emphasized that Gaza is facing a dire humanitarian situation when medicine, food, clean water, and fuel are running out, and aid is limited. The UN urged Israel to open the controlled Kerem Shalom border crossing to allow aid delivery to people in Gaza and stressed the urgent need for Israel to respect international law towards civilians during the war. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Monday that the group campaign launched by the Israel Defense Force in Gaza creates the possibility to rescue over 200 hostages in Hamas captivity. He said the special operation may have put Hamas under pressure to release the hostages. The families of more than 200 hostages seized by Hamas hoped that the Israeli government would place first priority on rescuing the captives as the forces ramp up preparation for broader ground incursions. Earlier, an Israeli soldier whom Hamas abducted was rescued during the ground offensive in the Gaza Strip. The militant group has so far released just 4 hostages. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Monday called on the world to stop the madness of climate change during his visit to the Everest region in Nepal, where melting glaciers are putting entire communities at risk of extinction. He called for immediate actions to end the fossil fuel age to protect the planet from catastrophic consequences. Nepal has lost 1/3 of its glaciers in 30 years, with glaciers melting 65% faster in the last decade than in the previous one. The statement came a month ahead of the 28th session of the Conference of the Parties of COP28. Scientists have successfully extracted and sequenced RNA molecules from a Tasmanian tiger specimen more than a century old, a species thought to have been extinct since 1936. This work is expected to shed light on more attempts to come in researching RNA viruses. More in the following report.
The sample was collected from a Tasmanian tiger, known as a thylacine, that has been stored at room temperature in the Swedish Museum of Natural History. RNA molecules are considerably smaller than DNA, and researchers had thought that they degraded quickly at room temperature, making the recovery of the molecules from the Tasmanian tiger a significant achievement.
We analyzed RNA from the thylacine, or the Tasmanian tiger, and RNA is a molecule that transmits information from the genome to the rest of the cell. And this is the first time that anyone has ever recovered RNA from an extinct species.
Dallin said the research was not aimed principally at trying to resurrect the species, but that the research could have a broad array of applications. The team's work could allow RNA viruses from skin stored in museums to be collected and sequenced, opening the way to study how these particular viruses evolve.
So one application I think can be quite interesting going forward into the future is to study RNA viruses. So there's a certain type of viruses that don't have DNA, they only have RNA, that's their genome. And it's been very difficult, if not impossible, to study the long-term evolution of these viruses at a decadal or centennial scale, because people haven't been able to get DNA from old dry skins. But now we actually do have the possibility to, for example, go back to the influenza pandemic of 1918 and look in museum skins if we can find that virus, for example, in bird skins, which are thought to be an important vector for influenza viruses.
Researchers across Sweden have the same endeavors when they set out to collect samples from other specimens for different projects in the future.
Up next, let's have a look at the weather forecast for Vietnam and other locations in the world. And that is all that we have for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our website, our YouTube channel, or download a mobile app VTVgo for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.